Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and we are so pleased to have in the studio with us our friends from the San Diego Legion. They are our rugby team. We're going to hear all about rugby, everything you want to know about rugby, how to get engaged with this great group. We got Danny Lee, the head coach, and David Haigh. He is the executive general manager. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Very well, Drew. How are you?
Doing great.
I'm doing fine.
Beautiful.
Thanks
Really appreciate it. David, where do you hail from?
From Sydney, Australia. I've been in San Diego, sunny San Diego, for 12 months and really enjoyed it over here.
You're our veteran of San Diego. How about you, Danny? Where are you from?
I'm from Hawke's Bay in New Zealand.
Okay, very. How long you been here?
Been here about 11 months.
11. Okay, so good. What do you think of San Diego?
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
Good.
It's a great place. Obviously, beautiful beaches and the weather's not bad.
Not too bad at all. And how is San Diego? Start with you on this, David, and then pivot over to Danny. How are San Diego's embracing rugby? What you guys are doing?
San Diego's got a really strong foundation for rugby. There's a big community population who are playing both youth and community,
Right.
men's and women's clubs. So there's already something really strong to build from. San Diego Legion itself in Major League Rugby is heading into its sixth year. The league itself is just completed 5 seasons. San Diego Legion's one of the foundation clubs.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so we've got a good foundation to springboard from. Heading into Snapdragon Stadium, our new home for the next 10 years, is really going to spring us forward. But there's a lot of work we've got to do in the community to build awareness and to help grow the game.
Exactly. So, let me ask you this, Danny, when, like David was saying, we got a nice foundation. You always hear about on-back rugby and so forth and the different clubs that are around. I imagine, Danny, that our weather, because we get to actually play rugby 12 months of the year, and then we complain when it drops below 50 degrees because we're a bunch of babies. But that helps pretty much with having people play 12 months of the year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the weather plays a big part. I mean, most other countries around the world, rugby's generally in the winter.
Right.
So it gets pretty cold and in some places freezing. But here, you've got the best of both worlds, being able to play pretty much throughout the year, enjoy the weather, play on nice firm surfaces. So I think that is a big part of getting the kids into the game. They're not cold. They're in there enjoying it, something new, and the numbers are building nicely.
Right. So, we know a lot about youth sports in this country. Certainly, there's surf with youth soccer, and you got Little League with baseball, and you got Pop Warner with football. So, Danny, is there youth rugby leagues is similar?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both Dave and I have, as we said, have only been here a year. We know, the big sports in the United States, as you've just mentioned. So rugby isn't in its infancy at the moment here in this country, but it's growing day by day, and is starting at those younger age groups. So you got kids that are out in the community at 5 and 6, actually learning and playing the game in small competitions around North Cal. And those kids will hopefully stay in the game as it progresses through the years, and by having them start earlier, then their knowledge and their experience in the game will grow quickly. And by the time they get to 15, 16 years of age,
right,
they're going to be seasoned rugby players.
Right. David, is there a strategy, I'm sure the answer is yes, to work with our local CIF folks that run all the high school sports? And Joe, who runs it, does a wonderful job to get rugby, and maybe it already is, and I'm just been out of it for so long. Is rugby a CIF sport?
No, it's not. And I ran into Joe
great guy.
a couple of months ago. So I've had the pleasure of meeting Joe, but it's not currently. And that's one of the challenges for rugby, both in high schools but also at the collegiate level as well. We're doing a lot of work in the community colleges at this stage, but looking to pivot out into the 4-year colleges as well to get, and it's not just in San Diego, obviously. This is a national campaign to get the game recognised as a varsity sport, both at school but also at collegiate level.
You know, I mean, when the Sevens were here, I guess I can't remember how many years ago, and they had their tournament.
07, 08, 09 at Petco.
Yes, I loved it. In fact, and I forget the gentleman who ran it, just a great guy. And I think they did it a couple of years here and then went to Vegas, but I could be wrong on that.
Correct, yeah.
And, you know, when you think about rugby, there's not anyone who puts nothing but a smile on the face, you know. I mean, they just love what you guys do. I think a lot of it happens to do with the culture, you folks. This is a bunch of folks that are going to enjoy a good time and, butt heads during the game and knock down a few beers afterwards, for God's sake. Now, I know I'm making it very simple, okay? However, when you've got a sport, at least in my view, that is everyone smiles when they talk about rugby. David, what is about it? Is this the nature of the culture of rugby? I mean, it's been playing for a long time.
Yeah, I think culture stands for a lot. The value set of rugby, it's built on the foundation of respect, but inclusiveness as well. It's a game for everyone. It's not, you don't have to be the elite of the elite.
Right.
It's for men, women, it's for big, strong athletes, it's for smaller, faster athletes. There's a position on the field for everyone. So I think the inclusiveness really helps. I think potentially over here, they don't take themselves as seriously over here, the rugby players or the elite rugby players, and maybe it's to do with the standing within the sporting landscape over here. But you're right, it is a traditional game. It's crying out to get some market share in North America as a global game, and so there does need to be a transformation of rugby growing up in a sense, but it's still built on that foundation of going out and playing your hardest against the opposition, but immediately after the final whistle, going out, having a beer, sharing a meal with the opposite player who you've just gone to war with in a sporting sense for 80 minutes. So I think that's what people really appreciate. And for the spectators, I think rugby gets instant street cred from an American supporter point of view because it's got the contact and the physicality of football, albeit without the helmets and the pads. But what that also lends it to is the players on the field are more approachable. There's a bit more intimacy when you can see the facial expressions of a player going and getting tackled and trying their best. And then after the game, they'll hang around, sign autographs, hang out with the kids, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a sense I get. We're chatting with David Haigh. He is the executive general manager of the San Diego Legion rugby team that is part of Major League Rugby, joined by the head coach, Danny Lee. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to Drew Schlosberg, Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for more than 60 years. So, Danny, where were you playing now? And I know you're going to Snapdragon next season, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So, I think Legion has sort of moved around, been nomads for a while.
Okay.
Last season we were at SDSU up on the sports deck.
Okay, sure.
And then, obviously there's been a lot of work going in the last year to build a fantastic stadium, Snapdragon.
Yeah, that's great. So the season is from when to when, Danny?
We officially start on the February the 18th. First home game, which is nice to get out there and get amongst it, sure. and that'll run through to roughly mid-June.
Okay,
and then depends on where we sit, whether we'll be in playoffs and finals.
Right. So, how many games are played?
We overall we end up playing 16 games.
Okay,
in the rounds. There's a couple of buys in the middle of the year as well for us, so it's a good chance for us to regroup and recover, and then work through the second parts of that season. But obviously our goal is to win the competition. Legion, as Dave said, 5 years in the MLR. haven't won the competition as yet. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that happens this coming season.
Right. How long did you play rugby? Or are you still playing rugby, I should say?
No, I'm a bit old for that at the moment.
Look, you're in shape to do it, for God's sake. But
Like as I said before, we grew up in New Zealand, so you automatically grow up with a rugby ball. So I started playing rugby when I was 4 and carried on through different age groups and levels right through till I was 35.
Right, exactly. How about you, David?
I started a little bit later as a teenager, but played for 15 years or so. And I think another unique part of rugby, I know Danny's had a similar experience, but the global nature of the game, you can actually travel the world with the sport, and evidenced by the fact that we've got a New Zealand head coach and an Australian general manager at Legion. We've got 12 different nationalities represented in San Diego Legion, both playing and coaching group.
Okay, so I'm a former sports writer, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't know this question. How many folks are on the rugby field at any one time?
There's all different forms of the game, but our form is 15s.
Right,
so
okay.
Therefore 15 players. So
Right.
we have 15 guys on the field. Then we have 8 other guys on the sideline that we can substitute on for injury or just substitute for form.
Right.
And that's a squad. But as I said, there's other forms of the game. The kids grow up playing 10-a-side,
Right.
because of the numbers and the size of the fields. And then there's obviously the global game of 7s.
Right.
That's a little different in the way that's played, and obviously less numbers, less time, 7 minutes each way with 7 players on the field. So that's pretty fast and exciting.
Right, exactly. How easy is it, David, and you jump on this too, Danny, for kids who certainly have grown up playing football or whatever the case may be to make that transition to rugby?
I think there's a lot of excitement for the first time a kid who's played football, their first time playing rugby, because of the fact that on the rugby field, every player is part of the action, whether you're carrying the ball, passing the ball, right, kicking, running, tackling. It's less specialised than football. So there's a lot of excitement there. There's a bit of apprehension that goes alongside that with having the contact, the tackling without the helmets and the pads. Right, but right. Once they understand that it's far more technique driven, there's a much higher focus on tackling technique to keep the head out of that contact zone. They start to build up that confidence. And you can imagine, as Danny said, there are younger and younger kids in particularly SoCal, but in America, learning the game of rugby. The collision of a 10-year-old on a 10-year-old, there's not much force there. And right. So that introduction at those younger ages is really helping the introduction of the game.
Right, exactly. Much has been, written about, our football, of course, and you've got guys that are, 6'4", 290 pounds that are running 4.5 40s, and I'd be the ones that'd be cowering around in the fetal position. Of course, you guys would be right in front of those folks doing that. But as you mentioned, David, it's about technique, of course, in that aspect of it. So, Danny, the type of drills, I'm really going to get in my sports writing gear here. Are they similar to what goes on in like football, or they're very, very different?
To be honest, it's hard to know. I don't know a whole lot about football.
Okay.
And haven't seen them train too much other than on the old movies. You see guys just pushing sleds around with their hands.
Exactly.
I mean, as Dave said before, there's so many different positions in the game of rugby and requires different styles of athlete. So we try and adapt our trainings to what those guys are going to do on the field specifically. So there's guys up front that, you got 8 on 8 forming scrums, so they've got to be good at being able to do that in that position. Generally, your backs are a bit quicker and you come up with strikes and moves, and then they've all got to be able to play together, and interact with each other and go through their shape and phases when they've got ball in hand. And I was going to jump in a little bit before on what Dave was talking about in terms of the game and the differences. And like for us, you've got 15 guys that are going to play on the field at one time, on both offense and defense, as you guys call it in football. So right. They're on the field, they work both sides of the ball, they're tackling, they're running, they're involved in the whole game. So they don't get a chance to stop and move off and someone else comes on. to do something different in the game. It's just the game just plays through. So you're effectively playing in a game, doing everything in the game of rugby, regardless of what position you are.
Right. So when we come back from break, I want to jump on this and talk about, okay, you've got 15 on playing at one time, 8 on the sidelines, and if someone is screwing up, I'll be quite candid and say we need to yank you right now because you're costing us some points. When we come back from break, you can say, how do we get that guy out of there? You got to call a timeout, or he just runs off, just like in hockey when they switch different lines and all that business. We're going to be right back. This is a very interesting and compelling interview from our friends from San Diego Legion, our rugby team. Going to be playing at Snapdragon Stadium beginning February 18, if I got that date right. Danny, we're talking to Danny Lee, the head coach, and David Haigh, the executive general manager. And when we spend time in the second half, gentlemen, it's going to be how do we get our listeners to come out and sell out that stadium. That's what we want to do when we return with Drew Schlosberg. Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Cloudcast Media and Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things in San Diego for more than 60 years. We'll be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things in San Diego for more than 60 years. We're chatting with our friends from San Diego Legion, San Diego's rugby team, playing in Major League Rugby league at Snapdragon Stadium next year. Very, very cool. February 18 is the opening game. Danny Lee is joining us. He's the head coach of the Legion, joined by Executive General Manager David Haigh. So, David, we'll start with you on this, or actually we'll start with you on this, Danny, where before break we were talking about how do you get a guy off the field if it's continuous play. Do you call timeouts? Are there timeouts in the game?
No, there's no timeouts.
That's right. Well, it's a dumb American question right over here. So,
no, I mean,
it's a running clock pretty much.
So yeah, it's a running clock, but the guy that runs that clock is effectively the referee in the middle. There's stoppages in the game, so if the ball goes over the touchline, you have to reset with a line out, we call it. If there's a ball that's dropped or knocked on and there's no advantage, then you start again with a scrum. So there's stoppages in that type of play. So you get to utilise those stoppages. So you have things ready if we want to make a substitution for form.
Right.
Then generally those will happen in the second half, because when you substitute players, those guys cannot come back on. So they get substituted
for the whole game?
For the whole game. So it's pretty tactical in terms of making sure you've got it at the right time. Obviously, the other part of it is if guys are getting injured. So if they get injured, you have to substitute. And as I said before, you've only got 8 players. So if there's a stoppage in play and you want to substitute for form, you've already got it in your mind, you work it out with your manager, he goes to the sideline, that player gets up, he's ready to go. At the stoppage of the next play, then those guys the substitution goes on, player comes off. But if there's an injury, you just have to wait again till the stoppage of play, and then you just make that change as well.
So if that guy's injured, he twists his knee or sprains his ankle, comes out, he can't come back in?
No.
Oh my goodness.
No, and same with the guy if he's not injured, and it's just through a little bit of form or a tactical substitution, that guy can't come back on either, unless he's a front row player.
Right.
So the front rowers, there's three of them,
right,
and they push in the scrums. They're at the front of that scrum, and it's a safety aspect as well. So if someone comes off as a front row member, and then there's an injury to another front rower, then that front rower that's come off can go back on, but only in the front row.
Right. So, David, has there been a situation? I always think of these crazy things. Is there a situation where there's been so many people that have been hurt or injured that you're now playing with 6 people?
Not quite 6 people, but yeah, there was a game last year early on in the season, and we had the rugby team. Danny's spoken about having 15 players on the field. That's split between 8 forwards, which are the linemen, I guess, in an analogy to football,
right,
and 7 backs. But there's certainly times where you've got to have those forwards playing out in the backs, in a wide receiver or cornerback type position,
right,
where you ideally wouldn't want to have those big bodies out that wide. So it does cause some creativity up in the coach's box, that's for sure.
Yeah, Danny's shaking his head.
Yeah, some anxious times, that's for sure. When you run out of players, or you can see it happening, and then you're thinking who's going to be able to play in the forwards and who can play in the backs. But it's one of those things you just have to adapt to.
So, are all the the head coaches, and you have assistant coaches too? Is that correct?
Yes.
Are they all on the field, or are there people in this press box, just like in football, giving you plays? This is what you should do.
They're not on the field.
Okay.
They're not on the sidelines. They're all sort of in the stands in a box, for example.
Okay.
The thing with rugby is that you train all week to be able to play on the weekend. You train the plays that you want to do, the way that you want to play. When they go out onto the field for the start of that because it's 2 halves of 40 minutes.
Right.
So when they go out on the field, it's up to them. They make the calls, they make the plays, they go with it, they adapt to certain situations. As a coach, you get a chance to throw down a couple of messages.
Right.
And the sideline, effectively, you have your medical department or a couple of water runners.
Right.
So sometimes those, we get messages through to them, just a couple of little messages on different things. There's nothing really that we can actually change. And then you get a chance at halftime. There's about 10, 12 minutes at halftime to be able to take the guys off the field, go through the halftime chat, maybe implement a couple of things. But at the end of the day, the players are the players, and they make the calls and they run the game.
Well, that's interesting. So, David, what can we do? What can our listeners do to support your efforts? Obviously, buy tickets, support us with youth leagues. What else can we do?
Yeah, I think the main one you touched on, our home opener on February 18th, we're trying to beat the Major League Rugby attendance record. So aiming over 10,000 people out at Snapdragon. So as many people as we can get to that game would be amazing. We're working with our community clubs to get awareness of tickets out. You can pick those up from our website, sdlegion.com. But it's general awareness of the sport. We've sort of touched on the unique nature of rugby and the benefits that we think the sport can provide in this US market. We know we're introducing the sport. We've got a North Star, the Rugby World Cup, which is the 3rd biggest global sporting event behind the Olympics and the FIFA World Cup. The Rugby World Cup's coming to the US in 2031 for the Men's World Cup, 2033 for the Women's World Cup. So it's the 14, 15, 16-year-olds running around playing the game right now or being introduced to the game right now who are going to be representing the US on the international stage in 9 and 11 years' time, respectively. So just driving the word of rugby, it's out there, it's in the community. There are local clubs all throughout San Diego County. If you need any information, just contact us at Legion and we can point you in the right direction.
And what's the website?
sdlegion.com.
And if somebody says, listen, I want to start my own rugby group in Scripps Ranch or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're there to help.
No, that sounds terrific. Well, I'd love to do this. I know you guys are going to be busy as can be, but I'd love to have you folks come back on maybe 2 weeks before the opening game to continue to shout this out. Hopefully we're saying, we're up to 15,000 tickets now. now we're going to go to 25,000, right? So why don't we do that? Have both you folks back on. Bring a player if you'd like. We got plenty of room here. We'll work with our boy Rick Schloss to get that teed up and get some more momentum as we head into the game on February 18. What do you think?
That'd be great, Drew.
Sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely our honor to have you folks here from San Diego Legion. There's two great guys, and it's a great sport. It's a great vibe. I was honored to watch the Sevens play a while ago, and all you do is smile. That's all there is to it. Doesn't hurt when you have a few beers in your system as well. David Haigh, Executive General Manager, and Danny Lee, Head Coach, wishing you guys nothing but great success, and I'm going to look forward to having you back on a couple weeks before the game.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely my pleasure. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing great things to San Diego for more than 60 years.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.